You are good to go.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm State Senator Bob Guida, Chair of the Ways and Means Committee of the Senate. And we are going to hold hearings today on a number of bills to come before the committee. Preparatory to doing that, I'm going to go ahead and read required right to know information to ensure that we're complying with the laws. As well, before I do that, I just feel it's appropriate to say that we will recognize anyone to speak. We'd like to limit it to 3 minutes if possible. Profanity and disrespectful remarks will be cut off by our technical helper, and I don't think we should have a problem with that, but I think it bears mentioning just in case. I'm Senator Bob Guida from District 2. Today we'll be holding a hearing of the Senate Ways and Means Committee. As chair of the Senate Ways and Means Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04 and its extensions, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. In accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possible by video and other electronic means. We're utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the committee and selected legislative staff have the ability to communicate contemporaneously in this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously watch and or listen to the meeting on Zoom or YouTube, and via phone by following the directions and links provided on the general court website. We've provided public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting in the Senate calendar. We're providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please email remotesenate@leg.state.nh.us. Again, that's REMOTESENATE at leg.state.nh.us, or call 603-271-6931. That's 603-271-6931. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, it will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Finally, let's start the meeting by taking a call of attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state where you are and if anyone else is in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. I will call the roll. Senator D'Alessandro?
Muted.
I'm Senator D'Alessandro. I'm in my home in Manchester and I am alone.
Senator Daniels?
Senator Gary Daniels. I'm at my home in Milford and I am alone.
Senator Hennessy?
I'm Senator Erin Hennessy. I am in my office in the State House in Concord and I am alone.
Senator Rosenwald? You're muted.
Senator, there
The
you go.
space bar didn't work. Senator Cindy Rosenwald from Nashua. I'm in my home and I am alone.
And finally, I'm Senator Bob Guida. I'm at my home in Warren and alone. And with that, we'll commence our hearing. The first order of business will be Senate Bill 25 relative to charity gaming licenses. And I'd like to open that hearing at this time. Is Senator Morse available?
Yes, he is. I am bringing him in right now. Senator Morse, you should be good to go. Senator Morse appears to be muted.
Senator Guida?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good afternoon, Senator Guida, Chairman of the committee. I am Senator Chuck Morse. I'm here today to introduce Senate Bill 25 relative to charity gaming licenses. This is a straightforward bill requested by a constituent to streamline the administration of charitable gaming. Under current law, charities may operate games of chance 10 times per year. Senate Bill 25 does not change that. Currently, those 10 days are reset on the anniversary of when the license was issued. This date is different for every charity. So the groups running the games on their behalf have to track the anniversary dates for every single charity. Senate Bill 25 resets the clock on December 31st for everyone. Each licensed charity gets 10 days during that calendar year. This is a simple change that will make it easier to administer charitable gaming in New Hampshire, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Morse. Any of the members of the committee have any questions?
Thank you, Senator.
Hearing none, thank you, Senator Morse. Ava, if you would announce the order of testimony for the next witnesses.
Yes, absolutely. Next, we have Rick Newman.
Rick, welcome aboard.
Rick, there
Okay,
you go.
you hear me okay?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Rick Newman, and I am representing the New Hampshire Charitable Gaming Operators Association on this bill. We support the bill, and very briefly, we'll just tell the committee, up until 2018, this is exactly how licenses were handled in New Hampshire. The law was changed near the end of the 2018 session. Frankly, I don't know why. And it has caused confusion for many of the charities and many of the game operator locations in the state. It's difficult to keep track of 500 plus anniversary dates of the issuance of a license. So we certainly support this. I think it will make everybody's life much easier.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Any members of the committee have any questions for Mr. Newman? Okay, hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ava, next up.
All right, Senator Gaida, we have no one else signed up to speak at this time. So if there is anyone under the attendees that would like to speak, this would be the time to raise your hand or dial *9. And I do not see anyone doing such at this time, Senator.
Okay, thank you very much. I would move at this time, I would close the hearing on Senate Bill 25. And I would like to poll the board. We have a few minutes here to see if anyone would, I'd like to take it into executive session. It's very straightforward. We can probably get it done. Senator Rosenwald?
Second. Daniels.
Okay, Rosenwald moves, Daniel seconds, a motion to go into executive session. We'll poll the board. Senator
Yes.
D'Alessandro,
Senator D'Alessandro says yes.
Senator Gary Daniels,
Yes.
Senator Rosenwald,
Yes.
Senator Hennessy,
Hennessy, yes.
Senator Gaida votes yes. The board's now in executive session and open to discussion of the bill. Any member of the
Wait a
committee have any comments or remarks?
I think it's quite straightforward. It does make it easier. I don't think there's any question about that. It's interesting to me why this thing was changed if it was in place at one time. What prompted a change that now has to be rechanged back? It seems that the more we do it, we always come back to going back to the same way it was before. So with that, unless there's more comments, I'd move ought to pass.
Okay,
Second
Senator
that.
Hennessy.
Second,
Okay, moved by D'Alessandro, seconded by Hennessy, ought to pass. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll poll the board. Senator D'Alessandro,
Senator D'Alessandro votes yes.
Senator Daniels,
Daniels, yes.
Senator Rosenwald,
Rosenwald, yes.
Senator Hennessy,
Hennessy, yes.
Senator Gaida votes yes. That makes a unanimous vote on Senate Bill 25 for it ought to pass.
Move consent.
I'm opposed.
Okay.
Well, yeah, thank you. So we'll put this on the regular calendar. Who would like to take it out?
I'll take it out.
Okay. Senator D'Alessandro will take Senate Bill 25 out. The Chair would accept a motion to come out of executive session.
So
Daniel, so moved.
Moved by Daniel, second.
second by D'Alessandro.
Second by D'Alessandro. Hold the board. Senator D'Alessandro,
Yes.
Senator Daniels,
Daniels, yes.
Senator Rosenwald,
Rosenwald, yes.
Senator Hennessy,
Hennessy, yes.
Senator Gaida votes yes, unanimous. We are now out of executive session. We have about 5 minutes. We can either recess for 3 or 4 or just hang on for the next 5 minutes, whatever is the pleasure of the board, of the committee.
I would suppose that we just hang on. It gives us an opportunity to just maybe talk if we have a chance. I might ask a question, Bob. We have all received a notice about an invitation from the House of Representatives, the Ways and Means Committee, about meetings on the 19th and 20th. And I think we can do those virtually. The question, Bob, is does no major intend to have these live in the House, or is it all going to be virtual? Sonia's shaking her head.
Yes.
I'll defer to the much more knowledgeable aide to our committee. Sonia?
Jen 4 from House Ways and Means sent an email late yesterday, I think it was, saying that Representative Major has decided to do it 100% remote.
Oh, great.
And I think you should all have received from Jen the agenda, the information. If anyone needs anything, just let me know.
Yeah,
Sonia, do you know if, because it's going to be remote, will we still be able to ask questions of the presenters?
I would think so.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think it's a good thing to attend. All of us should attend. I think we're in a very different situation when it comes to Ways and Means and revenue projections. And it would be good for all of us to get as much information as we can. And as a result of being in this difficult situation where we're not there, it seems this is a great way to take advantage of a resource. And Norm Major does a really terrific job of putting things together. He's a real worker. It works hard at putting these things together, and I think it's very worthwhile. We because of these limitations, we're not going to be able to do the kinds of things that we have done in the past with regard to bringing people in. If you think that's okay, Senator Geiger, I would hope that we'd all attend.
I would agree. I will certainly be there. All right, any other items of quick discussion?
Did everybody see the December focus? And I think if I might, Mr. Chairman,
Certainly.
I think you've all received the CAFA.
Right.
And I think that is a magnificent document that we all should read, and particularly read the section that has to do with litigation and where we stand with litigation. As a result, as a result of this, we can either come up with some strong decisions that favor us, or we could go the other way and get decisions that might hurt us. But the CAFRA's out. It's out on time, which is really good. I mean, we're in a mode now where it's coming on time. But take advantage of, and I would say take the CAFRA to the meeting on the 19th and 20th. And if you do have particular questions related to the CAFRA report, you can address them at that time.
If I may, I took the liberty of calling the LVA because the CAFRA is a daunting document if you haven't dealt with it before, or even if you have. And I asked Trish Shea what might be the most relevant and helpful areas of the CAFRA for us to focus on. And he provided me with a number of references. I'd encourage you to call him and get that same information. It's now being 1:15. We'll come out of recess for the purposes of hearing Senate Bill 23, changing the requirement that a member of the sponsoring charitable organization be present during certain games of chance. And I'll recognize the prime sponsor, Senator Sherman.
Senator Sherman, you should be all set.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon to the committee and Sonia, good to see you. For the record, I'm Senator Tom Sherman, District 24, and that representing 11 towns on the Seacoast. And similar to the Senate President's bill, or Ellis bill, I'm sorry, mine was at the request of a constituent. This was filed last session, but was tabled due to COVID. It had no significant opposition. The idea behind it is that current law is that when you sign up for charitable gaming, the organization has to have someone from the organization show up every day, that they are active with that, with the gaming parlor, and sign an affidavit that they're there. So that means that if you do 5 days in a row down at the Brook, you're going to have to be there every day of the 5 days. And when I talked to the Lottery Commission about this, they said this dated back to the days when charitable organizations did their own gaming, but that it was clearly outdated, and they wanted to know if I wanted to get rid of it altogether. And I thought there was some reasonable argument to be made that there should still be that connection between the organization and the actual gaming, but that if you have 5 days in a row, that you really should only have to show up once during those 5 days. And why this is important is that it makes it much more doable for example, someone on the Seacoast to use a facility elsewhere in the state and only have to make that one trip rather than making a trip every single day to do that. Many of these are small organizations where the principals in the organizations, the nonprofits, have other jobs, and they just can't get there during the business hours of the gaming of the facility to be able to do this. So I hope this will enjoy the support of the committee. It does have the support of the Lottery Commission, and it's a fairly simple change.
Thank you, Senator Sherman. Are there any questions from members of the committee?
Senator Daniels. Senator Sherman, is there really a necessity for somebody to be there, or what is the purpose in having somebody there? I can see value in identifying the charity that is being sponsored for those days, but that could be done with a banner, with handouts to indicate to those that are coming in. But what would be the purpose of having some individual sign in?
Well, that's actually a great question. It is to, I think the only purpose is to verify the connection between the facility and the actual charity. They already do a certain degree of marketing. The charities, they want to have as many people show up as possible. So they will market the fact that their charity is being featured at one of these facilities. This has nothing to do with that. This is an old requirement that's been on the books for a long, long time, that would be certain that if you were doing your own function, your own fundraising function, your own charitable gaming function, that you had to be on premises while you were doing that. But since what we do now is we outsource to places like the Brook and others in the state, this becomes burdensome. I think the only benefit of having the at least once during the contract period is that it does provide a clear I can't think of the right word, but I would say documentable interaction or connection between the facility and the organization. So, but in terms of marketing and all, they already do all that. And so this is just walking in, signing an affidavit and leaving.
Follow up?
Go ahead, please.
Would you have any objection to an amendment that would not require a person to sign in, but would require some sort of identification of the charity that is being sponsored for that particular evening on premise?
No, I would not object to a committee amendment that did that.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from the committee? Hearing none, thank you, Senator Sherman, for your testimony.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Gaida. Next, we have Rick Newman.
Rick, welcome back.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, members of the committee. My name is Rick Newman, and I am representing the New Hampshire Charitable Gaming Operators Association on this bill. We do support it. We certainly would support the amendment that Senator Daniels just referenced as well. Just two quick points. One, the requirement may sound like it's not much of anything, but it does make it difficult for charities who are far away from the game room to get dates. And we've had charities who have had the opportunity to get dates, but then find that they have difficulty getting someone to drive if they have to drive 20 or 30 miles or more to get to the particular game room that had a slot for them. It also, you can think about Hampton Beach in a normal summer and in days when COVID is not the issue. I mean, having to get in your car and drive down to Hampton Beach in July so you can find a place to park, you got to pay to park, you go inside, just literally walk in for 2 minutes, sign a piece of paper and leave. So it does create some logistical problems for charities. And I agree with Senator Sherman. It is a throwback to a time when these events were primarily run by the charity themselves. Just one other point for the committee's information. The person who does go and takes their time now to show up and sign is actually not allowed to play. A rule I've never understood because, I've known people who've said, well, I'd go do it. But, when I'm there, I'd like to sit down and play some blackjack or something. But because they are the person signing, they're not allowed to play. So I just don't see any purpose in it. I think it would be a very good move toward efficiency to adopt the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further questions? Rick, and if you will, through the technology to Senator Sherman, it appears to me that this is an unnecessary regulation. And if we're just going to go through motions, would it be appropriate and would we be, violating any other statutes or provisions if we just struck the entire statute?
I certainly don't think it would be, that would be a problem. I don't think it's necessary. This evolved when the law was first adopted in 2006. The actual requirement was a charity member had to be present for the entire day. We used to have to find volunteers to go at noontime and stay till midnight. And then to get rid of that overregulation, it was replaced, with this. But as you all know, you've passed a number of laws. One of them is that in order for a room to operate on behalf of a charity, there has to be a contract in place between the charity and the room. So the nexus is created by the fact that there's a contract and the lottery has a copy of that contract. So I would certainly agree you could eliminate it completely.
Senator Daniels, would that present a problem for you considering your proposed amendment?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Newman? All right, any further witnesses?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Senator, we next have Janice, apologies if I mispronounced the last name, Janice Severance.
Welcome, Janice. Good to hear you again.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good afternoon, Chairman Senator Gaida and members of the Ways and Means Committee. As they just said, my name is Janice Severance, and I'm a member of 2 local nonprofit charities who have been the recipient of Games of Chance proceeds for over 10 years. These proceeds have been beneficial to sustain our organizations, and we are so appreciative of this New Hampshire lottery program. Currently, we are associated with a game room on Hampton Beach Boulevard, which is a 2-hour round trip from Concord to sign in at the game room if the traffic is flowing. If the traffic is backed up going into the beach, drive time is so much longer, as you can imagine. The game room is currently only open in the summer, and it is challenging to find volunteers to drive over for the 10 game days each charity is awarded during their summer vacations or work schedule for a 5-minute sign-in process. If this bill was passed, it would not be difficult to find one person from each charity to sign in for our contracted game days, saving so much time, gas, and ultimately helping our environment. Thank you for considering and passing SB 23.
Committee members have any questions? Hearing none. Janice, would it be acceptable to repeal the entire provision of having to visit?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And Senator, there's at each game room, the license is always displayed for anybody to know who the gaming is being played for that day.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any further questions? Hearing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next, we have Michael Lupoli.
Hello, thank you for taking my my question or statement. Thank you, Senator and Chairman, all the senators on the screen that I'm looking at right here. I just want to echo Janice's last statement. Janice's, excuse me, let me just back up for a second. I am the owner operator of the casino in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, and that is Aces and Eights HBC Gaming. I just wanted to support Janice and her statement in regards to having the charities come in and sign. Janice said it all. I wasn't actually going to speak. I guess I might as well just state my piece in regards to reiterating what Janice had to say, and that is, it can be a very large burden for my charities that are associated with my room to come into Hampton Beach during the summer. They do a fantastic job getting there now. I would be 100% in support of the complete removal of this bill, or a complete removal of that regulation. And that has my support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any members of the committee have questions for Mr. Lupoli? Hearing none, thank you very much. Ava?
Great, Senator. So as of now, there's no one left signed up to speak. If anyone from the list of attendees would like to speak, this is your time to virtually raise your hand or dial *9 if you're calling over the telephone. And I do not see any action taken at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. We'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 23. And the it's now 1:30, and we'll convene the hearing on Senate Bill 22 FN relative to the sale of Lucky 7 tickets, and recognize Senator French as a prime sponsor for speaking.
All right, Senator French, you should be all set.
Thank you.
All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right, Senator French, you should be all set. All right
Super. Good afternoon, committee. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. My name's Harold French. I'm Senator for District 7, and I'm here to introduce to this committee Senate Bill 22. Senate Bill 22 deals with Lucky 7 tickets. My district, number 7. Therefore, great bill for me. Current law requires electronic Lucky 7 ticket machines to dispense paper tickets showing the results of each ticket. If you ever sit around playing Lucky 7, you'll realize that this bill eliminates that requirement of the paper. In practice, players ignore the printed tickets as the results are displayed on the screen of the machine. Charities spend thousands of dollars buying paper that is simply thrown away, and we felt that this would be a good change that would help the charities receive more money. Current law grants the lottery the power to establish the size of the Lucky 7 deals. That's the stacks of tickets per batch. It is currently set at 3,500 tickets that the state collects a fee of $15 for each deal sold. This bill does limit the size of these deals to 14,000 tickets. A little bit of a change. The bill also establishes that the state fee is assessed on each group of 3,500 tickets in the deal to protect the state revenue on deals exceeding 3,500. We find that deal sizes greater than 3,500 will allow charities to offer larger prizes that will attract more players for having more fun in a COVID year. Thank you all for listening, and I'm sure there's folks coming along that can describe everything to minute detail for you.
Thank you, Senator French. Any members of the committee have any questions?
Yes, I do. Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Rosenwald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do. I actually have two questions for Senator French, if I could. The first is, if we eliminate the paper tickets and that saves money, what is the guarantee that that extra cost saving does get passed on to the charity? And my second question, if I could, is I can imagine that if you have a paper ticket, there's a trail that ensures there will be certain prizes awarded in that game. But if it doesn't have a paper trail, how do the players know that prizes actually are going to be given out? What's the accountability mechanism?
Great.
I'm
Great.
sorry,
Thank
I'm
you.
not more articulate than that.
No, that's great. That's right to the point, Senator. I appreciate the question very much. I believe that Rick Newman is going to be following me. And if you could just pose those questions to him, I think that he would give you Lou, stop that. I think he would give you a more precise answer. And stop shaking your head, please, Senator.
You're marvelous, Senator French.
Thank you, Senator.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Senator French, for your testimony.
Yeah, thank you
Ava?
very much.
Next, surprisingly enough, we have Rick Newman.
Mr. Newman, welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm representing Grover Gaming on this bill. Grover Gaming is a manufacturer of electronic Lucky 7 machines that are used in New Hampshire. Just to begin, I want to point out to the committee, the two previous bills that you heard, were related to what we commonly call poker rooms or the charity casinos in New Hampshire. And while a couple of those are also bingo halls and do sell Lucky 7 tickets, the vast majority of locations in New Hampshire that sell Lucky 7 tickets either The manual ones or electronic are places like VFWs, Legions, Eagles Clubs, and other private clubs. Those account for the vast majority of locations where these are sold. So it's a different group of charities, if you will, that are affected by Lucky 7 tickets than what you see when you're talking about charity games of chance. I could start right off by answering Senator Rosenwald's question. The charity currently pays all of the cost associated with Lucky 7 tickets, and whether that's buying a box of the manual break open tickets that are purchased from distributors, or whether it is buying a roll of paper, which is what this addresses in the case of electronic devices. That expense today is borne by the charity. So it would be the charity that would save that money, and that expense can be significant. I believe it's somewhere around 35. In the case of electronic paper tickets, which this bill addresses, it's $35 to $45 per deal. That's significant over the course of the year. That money comes right out of the charity. And as far as how do you make sure, how do players know that the ticket or prizes are being paid? First of all, the way they do that, electronic tickets are much easier to audit because they do have an audit trail. They have an electronic trail. The lottery does audit them. They look at them, constantly. The paper ticket in an electronic machine literally comes out of the bottom of the machine today. And it at the end of the night, the people who own these places go around, and most of them put a bucket there to begin with, and they just pick them up and throw them all out. No one is looking at these tickets because you're winning, or the outcome, I should say, of the game is displayed on the screen. So, I'm not going to say that not one person has ever looked at a ticket, but I'd be shocked if anybody did, or if they certainly do on a regular basis. It just doesn't serve a purpose anymore. The electronic Lucky 7 ticket, like a box of paper tickets at a VFW or a Legion, is a closed deal. As we talked about the number, to segue into that, there's 3,500 tickets in a deal. It's very easy for the lottery to know if, how many prizes were awarded and how much money was left over for the charity by auditing those deals. Every deal has its own serial number. They're tracked. So this bill, in addition to getting rid of that paper, actually, one more thing about the paper. I do want you to know, this past summer, there was a real problem. The paper is not always available. There's one company, because the paper is very specific. It has to have a break open feature. It has to be able to operate it within these machines. There's actually only one company that provides these rolls of paper to the state of New Hampshire. And that company closed for a while because of COVID. And the locations literally could not get the paper. So they operated, with kind of a wink and a nod that, the paper tickets were being used. I think they used regular rolled paper that didn't have to be broken open. But, that created at least an awareness of the fact that these places are at the whim of, the one manufacturer that makes the paper. In terms of the deal size is currently by statute established by the lottery. The lottery tomorrow, if they wanted to, could make a deal size of 14,000, 50,000, or whatever they wanted. The legislature gives that authority to the lottery. This bill brings that authority back to the legislature and establishes a 14,000 ticket cap. The reason 14,000 is being used is currently under lottery regulations, they allow 14,000 tickets, or 4 separate deals, to be in rotation or in the queue at any one given time. Okay, so but you have 4 separate deals, so you still have the limited prize amount. Each deal, will max out at $500 will be the biggest ticket, or there has to be some money left over to pay the expenses in the charity. So if you could take those 14,000 tickets that are in the queue and make them into one deal instead of 4 deals, you could offer larger prizes. You would attract different players, more players. Excuse me. And by making sure that the $15 fee is collected on each group of 3,500 tickets, the state revenue would be the same. So the state would not lose any money. The 3,500 number has been the maximum allowable number of tickets in a deal since I can remember, going back to my days on the House ED&A committee in the early 1980s. So it has not been adjusted. The lottery has told us they'd like to adjust it, but because of the $15 fee, if they were to adjust it upward, the state would lose money. So we need legislative action to be able to somehow protect that revenue, but also allow the deal sizes to be larger. That's my testimony, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Any further questions for Mr. Newman? Senator Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Newman. I'd like to go back to a comment that you made that the paper serves no purpose. I recall 2 or 3 years ago that we had a lot of discussion regarding Lucky 7. And I just want to read one part of the statute in here that says that any permitted Lucky 7 device shall not be in the nature of a slot machine. And we had determined back then that the existence of a paper ticket was one thing that differentiated that from a slot machine. So in eliminating that, as the bill proposes, you would be going to a screen-only notification, which is just like a slot machine. So how do we maintain that separation of a slot machine versus a non-slot machine?
Sure, that's a good question, Senator. Thank you. The primary difference between a slot machine and a Lucky 7 dispensing device that we use in New Hampshire is the closed deal. I mean, whether you left the deal size at 3,500 or accepted it and went to the proposal and went to 14,000, that's it. So at the current maximum ticket price, which is $1, which is not being proposed to be changed here, you would have a maximum amount of money in the pot of $14,000 in each deal. And as you know, with a slot machine, I mean, the maximum amount of money in the pot is totally unlimited, literally into the millions of dollars, potentially. So that's the primary difference. I agree with you that there was discussion in the past that in addition to that, requiring a paper ticket was another way to differentiate. But I don't see it as the primary way. The primary differentiation is the fact that you're dealing with a very small closed deal, limiting the total amount of money available.
Follow up?
Go ahead, please.
Would you acknowledge that to the regular consumer who walks in, that they wouldn't be able to differentiate because all that is internal versus looking at a machine that in some cases looks like a slot machine, but maybe not?
I think you're right. I think somebody who's not a Lucky 7 player might come to that conclusion. I do believe that anybody who has ever played a slot machine would quickly understand the difference. It wouldn't take very long because you're just not dealing with the same kind of money.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Further questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You bet.
Okay,
Ava?
next we have Tyler Clark.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, welcome, Tyler. Good to see you back.
Good to see you all on the screen. Good afternoon, Chairman Gaida and members of the committee. For the record, I am Tyler Clark from Preddy Strategies in Concord, and I am testifying on behalf of Diamond Distributors. Diamond Distributors is located in Moultonborough, New Hampshire, and is one of the leading distributors of Lucky 7 tickets in our state. Diamond services over 80 Granite State charities with paper Lucky 7 tickets and bingo supplies. Diamond Distributors opposes Senate Bill 22 and respectfully requests the committee move this legislation inexpedient to legislate. In prior years, we have heard testimony stating the requirement to dispense a paper ticket from Lucky 7 dispenser devices is cumbersome, but this ticket is what differentiates Lucky 7 dispensing devices from electronic gaming machines. Currently, there are Lucky 7 dispensing devices in facilities that to the untrained eye resemble slot machines. These devices offer bright screens, moving graphics, sound effects, autoplay features, short intervals between each play, and fractional payouts. RSA 287E21 states, any permitted Lucky 7 device shall not be in the nature of a slot machine. Without the paper ticket being dispensed, these machines will further blur the line between Lucky 7 dispensing devices and electronic gaming machines. There's also no guarantee this proposal will provide cost savings for the charities. There's nothing in this legislation that guarantees the price of an electronic deal is lowered. There is also concern with increasing the maximum size of a deal from 3,500 to 14,000 tickets. At the bingos we sell to, the most common paper ticket deals are around 1,750 tickets. 3,500 ticket deals are much less frequently purchased due to their size. A 3,500 ticket deal is even more difficult to sell during the COVID era, where social distancing is required and occupancy is limited. It is highly unlikely a charity operating a bingo would purchase paper deals larger than 3,500 tickets. The increased size of deals would benefit those who promote Lucky 7 ticket devices and will potentially hurt charities who run legitimate bingos. Charities raise significantly more money from the paper deals than the electronic deals. Paper games allow the charities to net approximately 25% of the revenue versus the 10% they receive from the machines. And charities that operate in facilities offering these machines feel it causes them to lose revenue. This past summer, the legislature raised the maximum price of a Lucky 7 ticket from 50 cents to $1. Through rulemaking, Lucky 7 dispensing devices had their rate of play increased to every 3 seconds. Hypothetically, a player can now insert $20 into a Lucky 7 dispensing device, turn on the autoplay function, and the machine will play 20 times in 1 minute. Diamond Distributors respectfully request the committee reject any changes to Lucky 7 dispensing devices at this time. We believe it'll further blur the line between a Lucky 7 dispensing device and an electronic gaming device. We feel it would be prudent to allow the state and the industry to observe how the increased ticket price and faster rate of play have helped or hindered the sales of deals and revenues raised for the state. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Any questions from members of the committee? Senator D'Alessandro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Clark, thank you very much for your testimony. Number one, clearly the machine that is being used for this new dispensing of Lucky 7 tickets, it looks like, acts like, and behaves like a slot machine. Am I correct in that viewpoint?
You are correct. To the untrained eye, or perhaps somebody who's walking off of Hampton Beach and heads into the local charitable gaming facility there, they would be met by a number of machines lining the walls, and into the average person who's just walking in, who's maybe not a regular gambler or knows what Lucky 7 machines are, they would definitely see these as slot machines.
Further question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you. And the glitz and glamour of these machines definitely portrays themselves as something other than a Lucky 7 dispensing machine. Am I correct in that viewpoint?
You are correct. I would say the phrase "in the nature of" could mean a lot of things besides just how the internal mechanisms of the machine work.
Thank you. One further question. What's happened to the 25-cent ticket that the poor individual who goes to the bingo parlor, this is the elderly person that loves to play bingo and they buy the 25-cent ticket. Why has that ticket disappeared?
Last summer, I believe it was in an omnibus bill where the dollar ticket was passed. The language in that bill removed the 25-cent ticket from existence. It's actually only 50-cent and $1 tickets exist now, is my understanding.
And just one last question. Do you think the public was aware of the fact that the 25-cent ticket was disappearing?
I'm not sure. I think, there was a lot going on during that session. We had a lot of things that we were trying to get done at the time, and I think it could have been an oversight. But I will say our business did not sell a lot of 25-cent tickets. There could be other distributors that do. So that's where we stand on it.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you for your answers.
Senator Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Clark, in representing Diamond Distributors, is your opposition to this bill primarily centered around the elimination of the paper and therefore the revenue for Diamond Distributors?
So we do not, thank you for the question, Senator. We do not make the paper that goes inside the Lucky 7 dispensing devices. Those, I believe, are purchased by the manufacturers or whomever, has these machines in their facility. So I might not be the best to answer that question, but I do know for a fact that we do not sell the paper that goes inside of these machines.
Okay, thank you. Follow-up?
Please.
So with respect to Diamond Distributors, what do they do in regards to a Lucky 7 machine?
So we are largely in the business of selling Lucky 7 paper tickets that could be an instant ticket that is distributed in a fraternal organization, a paper ticket, or, we sell tickets that coincide with a bingo game. So we sell cardboard tickets that are sold to the players that have the pull tab mechanism, and you open it up, and at times, there's an instant winner, and there's also extended play that coincides with the game. For example, there could be a Lucky 7 game that, if you have the first number drawn, like B13, you get a bonus prize that's in relation to that Lucky 7 ticket. I think in the past, we might have been involved with selling instance to fraternal organizations. But right now, we certainly do not sell the tickets that go inside these machines or the paper that goes inside these machines.
Okay, follow-up?
Please.
So is your opposition to this the feeling that these Lucky 7 machines would take away from other games that Diamond Distributors is involved with?
Our opposition to this, thank you, Senator. Our opposition to this is that the statute is very clear when it says should not be in the nature of a slot machine. And we have the feeling that without dispensing this ticket, you have a machine that very much resembles a slot machine.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further questions? Senator Hennessy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure if Tyler is Mr. Clark's the right person to ask this of, but he had suggested that we look at the increased cost and the increased rate of play. I was just wondering if you are referring to any actual losses that charities may have incurred because of these two implementations over the summer. Maybe you could expand on that a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator. I'm referring to, well, it's one, it will be hard to really gauge how the dollar ticket and the increased rate of play have affected the industry, particularly because we have a lot of facilities operating not at full capacity because of the COVID pandemic. But I would find it prudent that if we do get to a time where we can actually see how many deals we're selling of these dollar tickets and our players being attracted to these machines because there's dollar tickets and there's an increased rate of play. I think that's something we should certainly look at. And I will say that Diamond is in favor of another piece of legislation that is out there that would look to study charitable gaming as a whole, because we feel that there's a lot that has changed in the industry, whether it's games of chance and Lucky 7 bingo these past 5-6 years since there was a study conducted.
Thank you.
Further questions? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Senator Gaida, we have no one else signed up to speak. However, we have a few hands raised. So first we have Fran Wendelbo.
Okay.
Fran, you should be all set to go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome, Fran.
Well, thank you, Senator Gaida. I've been listening and did not intend to testify. However, I would like to make a couple of points about the electronic versus the paper tickets. People with mobility issues find the electronic much easier. I, for example, have arthritis in my hands, and it's really difficult for me to peel those paper tickets, whether they're the regular paper ticket sales that you have to peel open, or the ticket that comes out of the electronic machine at the bottom of the machine. And the other thing is, like many of us, as we get older, our arms become shorter, and it's much easier to see if you won or lost looking up on a brightly lit electronic screen versus trying to see those little writings on this tiny piece of paper. I have not seen recent statistics, but as to the issue of the sales of paper tickets versus electronic tickets, if you look statistically since I think it was 2016, when electronics came into play, you will see that not only did their sales skyrocket, but paper sales, which had not been increasing for quite a while, all of a sudden started increasing as well. So if I were you might want to ask the commission if they could give you some up-to-date statistics on that. Of course, the last year has been throw everything out the window because of COVID, but I think that might give you a little bit of guidance on that issue. So thank you for accommodating me to speak.
You're very welcome. Any questions for Mrs. Wendelbo? Hearing none, thank you very much.
So next hand raised we have is Valerie King. Valerie, you should be all set. They appear to be muted.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon. My name is Valerie King. I work for New Hampshire Lottery. I oversee the licensing and enforcement portion of the lottery, mostly what you would have known previously as the Racing and Charitable Gaming Commission. I just wanted to point out a couple of things for you to consider, one of which I included on the fiscal note, which has to do with the language. It appears that you may have the drafter may have inadvertently made it not possible to have the old-fashioned on-the-wall paper dispensers. We have paper dispensers that simply have counters in them to keep track of how much money went in, how many tickets went out. Those do not have screens. So you may want to revise it to say that it's determined by a ticket or the screen, just so that you're, or to differentiate between the electronic and the manuals, just so that you don't inadvertently make one not acceptable anymore. I also just wanted to point out that because of the issue with what does it mean in the nature of a slot machine, we define that in rules to clarify what we believe that to mean, which is essentially anything with a infinite possibilities, the RNG, the random number generators. Those would be in the nature of a slot machine. We don't consider anything with a defined deal to be in the nature of a slot machine.
Senator Hennessy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. King. You had mentioned an updated fiscal note. I was wondering, and this question is probably for Sonia, do we have an updated fiscal note? Because I don't have a fiscal note attached to my bill.
Let me check on that right now.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Ms. King? I would propose a question. Val, can you restate and if necessary, amplify the distinction between a slot machine or in the nature of a slot machine and the Lucky 7 machines?
Yes, it goes to what Rick Newman said earlier in that Lucky 7 is a defined deal. At this point, we have 3,500 tickets. There's a set number of winners or losers in that 3,500 tickets. A slot machine, a traditional slot machine, has a random number generator that does not, you have an infinite number of chances of winning or losing. It's set by a random number generator. It's not a set number of winners and losers. It's totally random. And so that's what we consider the major difference between a Lucky 7, electronic Lucky 7 dispensing device and what we consider a slot machine.
Follow up, if I may. Does the commission or the department, I suppose, have concerns with the visible similarity between a Lucky 7 machine and a slot machine?
Well, one of the other things that we do not allow in any of our Lucky 7 machines, we do not allow spinning wheels, which is more traditionally what you'd expect to see in a slot machine. We do not allow those types of images on our Lucky 7 machines.
And would this bill, in fact, maintain that prohibition?
I believe the prohibition is in our rules, and we would maintain that.
Thank you. Senator Rosenwald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. King, if I think we heard testimony just a few minutes ago that the bingo halls are really selling fewer than 3,500 tickets now. So let's say they're selling, I don't remember if it was 1,500 or 1,800, but there would be payouts or prizes per 3,500, but this would increase the spread over which you'd have to give out the prizes to 14,000, wouldn't it? So would that mean that if somebody went for an evening to play bingo and Lucky 7, that they'd have less opportunity to win a prize because it would be over 14,000 tickets versus over 3,500 or 1,800?
No. So how the language appears, as my interpretation of the language is, you do not have to have a 3,500 tickets in your deal now. And nor do you need 3,500 or 14,000 in the future. It's because it can be any amount, but if you have a deal that is 2,000 tickets, you pay a $15 deal fee. If you have it 3,500 tickets, it's a $15 deal fee. That doesn't affect the prizes, that doesn't affect the play. It's just how much you pay in a deal fee. So even currently, these smaller deals pay the same deal fee as the larger deals. It's just that now, if you have a deal that is more than 3,500, say you have 3,501 tickets in your deal, you now pay a $30 deal fee. The deal fee is what you pay to the state. It has nothing to do with the prizes or how the games are played or structured.
Could I follow up, please, Mr. Chairman? Because I'm now really confused. If I want to lower the fee that I pay to the state, I would get the biggest deal I could and then only have to pay $15 per 3,500 tickets. But wouldn't my prize be per deal? My prizes be per deal, not per fee?
So if you're saying, I'm not sure I'm totally following. So if you have a deal with fewer tickets, and those, say you have a 2,000 ticket deal and they're $1 tickets, you're only going to get $2,000 in which to give out in prizes. That's just how, if you wanted to give out bigger prizes, you'd have to buy bigger deals and sell those out. So I'm not sure if that's answering your question.
I guess
So
I'm
there-
wondering if I bought a $14,000 deal, I could spread those tickets out over a longer period of time, and maybe people wouldn't stay and play for the whole
That's why a lot
amount
of
of time.
Right. That's why a lot of the bingo halls do sell smaller deals so they can do the prizes. When you have different deal sizes, you're going to have different prize structures based on how much money you're taking in is how much money you can pay out in prizes. This bill does not change your ability to have those smaller deals. It doesn't really change anything other than if you wanted larger deals to be able to give larger prizes, say you had a hall that could handle that, has a large enough capacity that they wanted larger deals, they could do that. The other thing to remember is this is not just bingo halls. Fraternal halls are a big purchaser of Lucky 7, including electronic Lucky 7 deals. So it's not just bingo halls that are affected by this change.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Further questions for Ms. King? I have a question. Valerie, if I'm a little bit uncertain, if a 3,500 ticket deal is $15, if we go to the 14,000, will the state lose revenue?
No, because currently we get a $15 deal fee for a 3,500 ticket deal. If they go to 14,000, the way it's structured is for every 3,500 tickets, we get a $15 deal fee. So for 14,000, what's that? Is that 60?
$60, yeah. Okay, thank you. So what I'm hearing is that the larger deal number, 14,000, enables the provision of larger rewards, if you will, larger prizes, which may be an inducement to more people to play, potentially, without increasing the cost to the charity or reducing the revenue to the state. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Senator, there is no other hands raised at this time under the attendees list. So if anyone does intend to speak to this bill, this would be the time to raise your hand or dial *9 if you are calling over telephone. And there are no hands raised, Senator.
Okay, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 22 FN. And we'll immediately go and open Senate Bill 27, for which I am the prime sponsor, and I would welcome Senator D'Alessandro as vice chair to take over the gavel.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the currently before us is Senate Bill 27, an act relative to the sale of Lucky 7 tickets. And the prime sponsor of the bill is Senator Gaida. Senator Gaida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Senator Bob Gaida, representing District 2 and prime sponsor of Senate Bill 27. This bill is, if you will, a casualty of the omnibus procedure from last year. It's been requested and supported by the Lottery Commission, and it makes some changes that are basically administrative. It changes the term of a charity gaming license from 12 months from issue to expiring on December 31st. Makes it much more manageable for the licensing agency. It expands the definition of charitable organizations for the purpose of issuing charitable gaming, bingo, and Lucky 7 licenses. It corrects incorrect references to the Lottery Commission within statute and rule, and it changes the definition of a deal in reference to Lucky 7. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but we'll also defer as necessary to both Ms. King from the Lottery Commission and from to perhaps Mr. Newman if he's available, or anyone else that might be wishing to testify.
Is there, is there any member of the, the committee that has any questions of Senator Gaida? Okay, if not, Ava, what's the list of speakers?
Right, Senator. Rick Newman is first up to speak, so you should be all set, Rick.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rick Newman, and I'm representing the New Hampshire Charitable Gaming Operators Association on this bill, and I will be very brief. We all hear the term housekeeping related to a bill. I would say that this bill truly fits that definition. This is truly a technical correction / housekeeping bill. The criteria change relative to what kind of charities qualify for Games of Chance and Lucky 7. This bill makes those criteria the same for both types of gaming. Right now, there is a difference between a Game of Chance charity and a bingo Lucky 7 charity. So this bill would makes that criteria the same across the board. If you look at the parimutuel section of the statute, sometimes people have looked at that and thought, what in the world is going on here? That is truly a technical correction. It removes the word lottery from the statute in front of the word commission, which appears several times. And that was really a drafting error when the Lottery Commission took over. The word commission there does not apply to the commission like a lottery commission. It applies to the amount of money that a simulcast facility takes off the top on a wager. And the other thing that this bill does is something that was requested by the Administrative Rules Committee years ago, and it just never has gotten around to it. It changes the definition of a deal relative to Lucky 7, removing reference to the word bag. It really is just an update of the definition. So I would urge you to support it. It truly is a technical corrections bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Senator Hennessy has a question, then Senator Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Newman, I have a question on line 24 of the first page. It says maintains a current list of bona fide members. If you're a 501c3, would you have a list of bona fide members? What does that mean exactly?
Yes, that's been there. That's current law, and that's been on the books as long as I can recall. And yeah, I mean, I think they do have a list of bona fide members. I know that I'm not sure what you're looking at there, but like for instance, I know that when little leagues have used Games of Chance, the commission requires we need a list of your members. They've given them like the board of directors of the Little League or something like that, because the Little League doesn't really have members, as opposed to a VFW that does have a member. But that is the current law. That's not being changed by this bill.
Follow up.
Further question?
Thank you. In my version of the bill, it says that it's something new that it's added, so that's why I was asking about it.
Sorry, I'm sorry. What?
It does. It's line 24, and it does indicate that it's new because it's bold.
Oh, is that because, I bet you Valerie can answer that, but I'm going to assume that that's because in that section, the criteria of a charity is being changed to be the same as the other type of gaming. But I'll defer to Valerie on that.
All right, Senator Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In sections 2 and 3, there's distinction made between religious organizations and church organizations. And I'm wondering what the difference is and whether and how whether church excludes other religious organizations such as synagogues, for example. What is the difference?
Sorry, I can't answer that. I think that's a question for Valerie.
Thank you.
Further questions, Senator? Okay, any other questions for Rick Newman? If not, Mr. Newman, thank you very much for your
Thank you,
testimony.
Mr. Chairman.
Ava, who's next?
Right, Senator. We have a hand raised by Valerie, so I'm gonna
Okay,
allow her in. She should be all set.
Okay, Ms. King?
Hi, again, this is Valerie King with New Hampshire Lottery. Just to clarify, Rick is correct. We're basically hoping to make the definition of a charitable organization consistent across all game types. Our dream is to be able to basically vet a charity once for all game types rather than doing it, we have to do one for bingo, one for Lucky 7, one for Games of Chance. So that is the purpose of this. So you're seeing new text because in order to make them the same, we had to add it, add it to one or subtract it from another to make them the same. If the legislature wants to change those requirements, that's fine. Our goal is to make them consistent across all game types. As to the whether or not a church counts as a synagogue would count as a church, we don't have any reason not to count those. I believe that's an IRS designation, and I believe that all religious type of entities would qualify under that.
Further questions, Senator?
Yes, if I could.
Yes.
So Valerie, why do we say both religious and church? Isn't that redundant?
I can't answer that question because I believe the language has been there since probably I was in high school. So that was a long time ago. So I don't know why it says that. I'm assuming it's just language that was, again, sort of lifted from the IRS types of organization titles, but I can't answer that for certain.
If I may, Senator D'Alessandro.
Senator Gaia.
Thank you. I would suspect that the difference between church and religious organization might be, in fact, an actual church versus something like the Knights of Columbus or the Pythian Sisters or something of that nature, as distinguished from a formal church per se, as in the context of raising funds for their activities.
So, Senator, what you're referencing is a religious entity.
Correct.
Senator Rosenwald, does that address
Well,
your?
I'm just wondering then, I guess, if, while we're in this statute, whether church is too narrow,
Right.
A word to use for an actual house of worship.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point, because houses of worship.
If it's different from religious,
Right.
I just wonder if it's too narrow.
Yeah.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, sure. Senator
I would agree with that. On the reopening task force, I led the church reopening, if you will, committee, and we immediately ran into, we have Buddhist, we have Protestant, we have Catholic, we have Jewish, and all the different, and we ultimately settled on houses of worship. So that might be a terminology change that I think much better represents the intent of the legislature. Not to specify any particular, if you will, denomination's definition of its activities.
Yeah. Do you agree with that, Senator Rosenwald?
Yeah, I mean, if the prime sponsor would be open to a friendly amendment to change the reference to church to house of worship.
Certainly.
Okay.
Okay, Senator Gaida, you're okay with that?
Certainly.
Okay, great. Okay, any further questions for Valerie King? If not, thank you very much for your testimony, Ms. King.
Thank you. And could I just add that if you change it in one definition, can you make sure it's changed in the other so that it's consistent?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Um, Ava, is there anyone else who wishes to testify?
Senator, there is no one else with their hand raised at this time. So if there are folks in the attendees that would like to speak or testify, this would be the time to virtually raise your hand or dial *9 if you're calling in by phone. And Senator, I do not see any hands raised at this time.
Okay, if not, then I would close the hearing on Senate Bill 25 and return the gavel to Senator Guida, Chairman of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think an executive session is appropriate at this time on any of the three bills that we've heard subsequent to the initial bill from Senator Morse, because I think there's been significant discussion. If anyone would like to enter executive, I won't oppose it, but I don't know that we're going to come out with any recommendations because there's amendments that look to be needed. And so if that's the sense of the body, we can go ahead and adjourn. And I think we would probably take a roll call vote to do that.
If I might just ask one question, I think on Senate Bill 22, there's enough confusion, and I do have a commission that's being put together to look at charitable gaming. I would hope that we could vote on that one because we have a mechanism to look at that going forward, and that's the commission to study charitable gaming. Charitable gaming has undergone some very, very significant changes over the past years. We now have venues that are called casinos. Well, we don't have casinos in New Hampshire, but we have venues that are called casinos. We have not only the Lucky Sevens being sold, but we have table games. We have card games. We have a full plethora of gaming taking place at these institutions, and charities are supposed to be the beneficiaries. And when Senator Odell was here, the 35% going to the charities became the mantra. That's what's in the law, and we know that many charities don't receive the 35%. We've heard that, I think, Senator Guida in testimony before a number of committees. So I would think there's a mechanism to deal with Senate Bill 22 that's in place, and that's the commission that I've proposed. I would think that we could vote on that here.
All right, so is there a motion to go into executive session?
I would move executive session.
Is there a second? Moved by Senator D'Alessandro, seconded by Senator Rosenwald, and we'll poll the board. Senator Lou?
Yes.
Senator Daniels?
No.
Senator Rosenwald?
Yes.
Senator Hennessy?
No.
And the chair will vote no at this time.
That seals the deal.
Now, that said, I think that we should work. It's going to be work, but we should look at amending these bills because there is potentially benefit to the charities with the potential of amendments. And so I think I'd like to get a sense if anyone is interested in moving forward with any amendments that we might try to get a look at when we might expect them to be completed for the purposes of the committee's work.
Well, it seems, Senator, if I might, Mr. Chairman, it seems that you and Senator Rosenwald were in concurrence over the changes to Senate Bill 27, that the particular one that designates religious venues. So it seems to me that could be taken care of with a committee amendment if everyone else agrees on that. The other situation, Senate Bill 22. I don't know what we could do with regard to that. I think the situation that deals with a slot machine is something that's worth considering. We banned slot machines in the state of New Hampshire. We know that the item that we're talking about, if it's not a slot machine, it certainly resembles a slot machine. And indeed, we're either going to go for slot machines or not. And we have a statute that prohibits slot machines at the present time. And I think we're talking about a further expansion of gaming. You know, we've never wanted to do that in a legitimate fashion. We've beaten down casinos over and over and over and over again, and yet we have an expansion of casinos throughout the state that are growing by leaps and bounds. And you know, let's face it, we've increased. You talk about we started with a 25-cent ticket for Lucky Sevens. Then we expanded it to a 50-cent ticket. Now we have a $1 ticket. We expanded the initial vote was $1. Then it went to $4. Now it's $10. That's an expansion of gambling. And we use the rationale for that the money goes to charities. And then we've had discussions in committees throughout my time in the legislature where the 35% didn't go to the charities because of all of the expenses that are incurred prior to the dispensing of the profits, and yet the legitimacy of these has always been something that has been under scrutiny. You know, I've always been, if I might, Mr. Chair, I've always been in favor of expanded gambling. I've promoted expanded gambling in this state for the last 20 plus years, but in a very, very controlled fashion where the state got its share of the revenue and where the player got its share of the revenue. I think these are deviations from that modality that I'm very concerned about.
I would offer that when I questioned Mrs. King about increasing the deal, it would benefit the charities. It would not harm the state revenue stream, which is something obviously we're really concerned with. With respect to the nature of a slot machine, I wonder if it's a distinction without a difference. The reality is, if a person goes in to play a machine or a game of chance on a machine, they really apparently don't care whether there's a paper ticket or not that comes out of it. And so, is there harm done? I think that in some sense that in the nature of a slot machine may be an anachronism. If the Lottery Commission itself says that the real differential is not appearance, it is the nature of the prize and the randomness of the winning numbers, as it were. So then that's why initially I was opposed to this legislation, but I think it bears further look because I don't think it does harm. I would also support the study of gaming in your commission, and will do so because I do think it needs to be reviewed, but I'm not sure we do any harm if we either amend or pass this bill, and I think that warrants further discussion. Senator Rosenwald.
Thank you. We didn't spend a lot of time discussing this on the bill, but I think we did hear that as the Lottery Commission lowered or increased the rate at which the machines could function, it was possible to blow through $20 in a minute. And I wonder and worry about the potential impact on a player of that kind of rapid burn. I don't know, but that kind of came and went in the testimony, but it stuck with me. That's pretty quick.
Okay, Senator Daniels, you had your hand up, and Senator Hennessy, you'll be next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to clarify that my no vote for going into executive session was not a vote against Senator D'Alessandro's bill, which is forthcoming, but I would like to deal with that bill first rather than kill what we have with the possibility of that one being killed as well. So I would just like to hear his bill before deciding what we were going to do with these. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Senator Hennessy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Daniels. That's exactly what I was going to say. Do we have a date yet for Senator D'Alessandro's bill to study gaming?
Hasn't been introduced yet.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about that, actually, if I could. And it's really for Senator D'Alessandro. Is that rolled into the commission
Yeah,
omnibus bill that's going to a different committee?
yes, may I?
It's going to go to ED&A?
Yes, yes, I believe it's been rolled into that omnibus bill, and I'll testify on it. And as I said, I think the whole thing really deserves a study. We're getting pretty deep into this now, and charities are becoming more and more dependent upon the revenue that they receive because fewer people are participating in the different venues that we call charities. So, yeah, the bill is in an omnibus bill, and hopefully we'll be. I don't know what the schedule is to hear that. So do we have those been scheduled? Any of those been scheduled yet? That omnibus bill?
No.
So maybe we could hold on to this until that is either passed or not. But I appreciate the thought of both Senator Hennessy and Senator Daniels, and that they'll look at the commission as a methodology to deal with this, in totality, rather than in just a small segment of the operation, because the gaming situation has become prolific, and we now have sports gambling, in New Hampshire, which I supported, but we have sports gambling, we have table games, we have card games, we have it all. We have it all, and I think if the charities are the main participants, and it appears that's the case, then they should be getting their share, and the state should be getting its share, which is de minimis, really, when you think about the magnitude in terms of the dollar value of the programs that are being offered around the state. So I'll leave it with that, Mr. Chairman, and thank my colleagues for at least holding off until we find out about the commission.
Hey, thank you. Any further discussion from the members before we adjourn? Senator Hennessy.
Thank you. So we decided that SB 23 and SB 27 would be easy amendments to make. Okay.
Okay. So I guess we'll poll to go into executive session, and we'll go to address 23 and 27.
Well, we think we need the amendments first, right?
Well, we can do it in executive session. There'll be friendly amendments, and we'll discuss them so that the secretary, or the aide, can take notes and make the necessary editorial changes. I think they're only editorial changes, but if not, I will stand corrected. So let's poll the board. Senator D'Alessandro?
Yes.
Senator Daniels?
Yes.
Senator Rosenwald?
Yes.
Senator Hennessy?
Yes.
And Senator Gaida votes yes in executive session. And the first bill we'll consider is Senate Bill 23. Chair would accept an amendment to repeal the requirement in its entirety.
So moved.
Second.
Daniels.
Moved by Senator Daniels, seconded by Senator Rosenwald, to repeal in its entirety the requirement that the charity visit the operator during its contract period. Any discussion? Senator Hennessy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In repealing this, would this then repeal the restriction on the person that from the charity that was overseeing it, that they would not be allowed to participate since they're not required to be there?
I would guess yes. I don't know if Mrs. King is still here, but maybe she could opine on that.
Well,
Senator Gaida, let me take a peek under the attendees. Yep,
Sure.
she is here. Ms. King, you should be all set.
Hi, again, this is Valerie King with New Hampshire Lottery. The issue with the person playing is we don't want anyone that has control over the money also being engaged in the games. So if you are the person that is, it doesn't mean the person that went in to sign, that can be anyone. But if you are basically your treasurer and possibly your chairperson should not be playing because they handle the money that they receive from the gaming. So those would be the only ones that would be prohibited.
Ms. King, would our proposed language continue that restriction, or is there any other part of the statute you need to address?
No, we would continue that under our rules.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions? Further discussion? Is everyone clear on the language of the amendment? Any questions on it?
If I might, so we would be drafting a committee amendment, and the committee amendment would eliminate the fact that a person has to be from the charity has to be there
During the contract period, that's correct.
during the contract period. But for the question, Mr. Chairman,
Please.
but the charity, there's a designation that the charity's there, and the part that says the sponsoring charitable organization member shall not be employed by the game operator. That remains. All of that remains. That's in statute, and that remains. And the other provision then becomes the new part of the bill. Am I correct?
That would be my understanding.
Okay. Thank you.
And Sonia, do you have all that?
Yes.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of the committee amendment on Senate Bill 23 will indicate by voting in the affirmative, and we'll call the roll. Senator D'Alessandro.
Yes.
Senator Daniels.
Daniels, yes.
Senator Rosenwald.
Yes.
Senator Hennessy.
Hennessy, yes.
Senator Gaida votes yes. It's unanimous. And so we'll have the language for that prepared, I would suppose, for the bill. Who's going to take this out?
Senator, I need a motion of ought to pass as amended and a vote.
Thank you very much.
I'll move ought to pass as amended.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Hennessy, seconded by D'Alessandro. Ought to pass as amended. Then we'll poll the committee. Senator D'Alessandro.
Yes.
Senator Daniels.
Yes.
Senator Rosenwald.
Yes.
Senator Hennessy.
Yes.
Senator Gaida votes yes. It's unanimous and no consent.
No consent.
All right. Now, who wants to take this out?
I'll take it out. I don't care.
Okay, Senator Rosenwald, you'll take it out. Thank you very much. All right, on to Senate Bill 27 then. I would accept a motion of ought to pass. I'll move ought to pass. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right.
I thought we were going to amend this.
Yeah.
Well, we will.
Okay.
All right. So now we would entertain any potential amendments and discussion since it's moved and seconded.
Okay.
Senator
Okay.
Rosenwald.
Thank you. So my copy of the bill that I'm looking at doesn't have line numbers, but my proposed amendment is to replace the words church organization in the two places it appears in the bill with house of worship. And those two places are in section 2, Roman 4A, and in section 3, Roman 5A.
Right.
And I'm sorry I don't have line numbers, but I did a search of the word church and it only appeared in two places.
Okay. Sonia, do you have that?
I have everything that Senator Rosenwald just said. I wrote it down. I'm just trying to find it.
It's line 9 and line 31 on the
Thank you.
first page.
9 and 31. Thank you.
Yeah, mine is laid out differently, I guess.
Right, in line 9, Sonia, it says church organization, and in line 31, it says or church. Those are the, am I correct, Senator Hennessy? Those are the two items that you cited?
I see church organization
I see
in
church
both
organization
places.
too.
Okay, yeah, but, oh, I see, okay, but church is in bold, okay,
Right, because church is new
right, so church,
in one place.
right, so in both cases, it's church.
We would replace church organization with house of worship.
Right. I got it.
And I'll second that.
All right, I'm looking at the language and I'm wondering if it needs to say means any bona fide religious, charitable, civic, veterans, or fraternal organization or house of worship.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes, I
Okay.
think that's what Cindy
Yeah,
said.
that would be, I'd be fine
Okay.
with that.
Right, right.
In both areas. All right, I'll second that. Senator Daniels?
Thank you. I know that Valerie mentioned consistency, and I'm curious as to whether there are any other statutes that have this language that also need to be changed.
Does the tail end of the bill reflect any attempt to? I don't know the answer to that, but we may want to think about adding something to the end of the bill that addresses any such reference in any gaming statute.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that maybe a search could be done to find out if there are any, maybe that's something that Senate research could look at, but I do not think that putting something at the end of, the parimutuel portion of this, referring to some other part of statute would be sufficient. If someone were looking at that other part of statute, there would be a disconnect between what we would put in here versus what already exists.
I think you're right. That's a good point, Senator Daniels. Thank you.
All right, why don't we do this then? Why don't we hold Senate Bill 27? We'll review it with the Lottery Commission, who are much more familiar with the language throughout their statutes and rules. And maybe we can have that back by the time we meet next week, so we can get this taken care of. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right.
We need a motion to come out of executive session.
Well, yeah, we do.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved by Senator D'Alessandro, seconded by Senator Rosenwald to come out of executive session. We'll poll the board. Senator D'Alessandro.
Yes.
Senator Daniels.
Yes.
Senator Rosenwald.
Yes.
Senator Hennessy.
Yes.
Senator Gaida votes yes. It's unanimous. All right. Do we have any further business to be conducted today? All right, hearing none, I would accept a motion to adjourn. Senator Hennessy?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Daniels, moved by Hennessy. And let's take a poll of the committee. Senator D'Alessandro.
Yes.
Senator Daniels.
Yes.
Senator Rosenwald.
Yes.
Senator Hennessy.
Yes.
Senator Gaida. Yes. And I thank you all for your patience with my unfamiliarity and for the great work and the great help that you all provide. We conclude this hearing at this point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great American Day, everybody.
Yeah.